Well. Guess who's back?
Welcome.
Sorry I've been gone for y'all, but the king has returned. Who am I kidding? You got no idea who I am or that I even left. But it's all good because I've returned to rescue you all from basketball boarding with yet another b-ball banger to bob your head to. So without further ado, let's try to get our heads into this Luka video. And don't forget, like and subscribe too. No, seriously. Like and subscribe. Luka Doncic is a flat-out bona fide superstar, a generational talent, and not only a face of Dallas Mavericks, but a potential face of the NBA itself. There's no doubt in his talent. I mean, just look at his numbers this season. He averaged 28 points, 9 rebounds, and almost 9 assists. He was an all-star. He'll likely be a first-team All-NBA selection who was in heavy consideration for the MVP. But with all that being said, he isn't without his issues or deficiencies, and I think they need to be highlighted before we annoy him. Let's talk about it, man. Let's see what's up. By all accounts and measurements, Luka is an amazing finisher, but a very poor jump shooter from distance and from the free throw line. He shoots about 46% from the field on 20 shots a game, which is a bit low considering the number of shots he takes is more understandable than someone who takes fewer. What isn't understandable, however, is his low ability to shoot threes. He averages 35% on about 9 attempts per game, which 15 years ago would have been outstanding, but for basketball in 2022, is lacking to say the very least. The thing about it is, I don't think he should be that poor of a shooter. His shooting mechanics look fine, and he gets a good lift and creates great spacing from defenders. The problem is his shot selection. He takes far too many step back and super long distance threes that either miss long or miss the rim entirely. I think if he modifies his choice in threes, we'll see a marked improvement on his efficiency. His free throw shooting is another matter entirely. Luka shoots 74% from the free throw line on 7.5 attempts per game. For a superstar player who also happens to be your main ball dominant point guard, that percentage on that many attempts is mediocre to say the very least. I'm no psychological expert, but it seems that Luka doesn't put all of his focus in the free throws. Considering the burden he carries offensively, that might be understandable as well, but he would do well to make a more concerted effort to zero in when he's at a charity stripe. It's no secret, Luka is terrible on defense. It's almost as if his team is playing 5-on-4 basketball. He's slow-footed, has low defensive IQ or effort, and doesn't always seem interested. I can understand that you can't expect any singular player to have all the answers and all the ability, but that isn't the issue here. I'm not asking Luka to be Michael Jordan on offense and Dennis Rodman on defense. What I would like to see is him become at least adequate or even passable on the defensive end. Teams legitimately and consistently attack and single him out when looking for a quick score, as seen in the Suns' Mavs game 2, when Chris Paul and Devin Booker took turns putting him in the pick and roll and getting a more than quality shot every single time. If Luka is tired from having to do everything on offense, then that just ties into my next point. Getting along with others is very important in life, and that remains true in the NBA. I'm not so sure if Luka is able to do that at this point in time. He's had some quality teammates in the past that, before him, have proven some things in this league. His inability to shoot and apparent unwillingness to move off ball means he can't play when he doesn't have the ball in his hands, which leaves little room for others to get into that rhythm and make plays for themselves or even others. The two guys that come to mind for me in this instance are Dennis Smith Jr. and Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn himself. It's easy to look back at Dennis Smith Jr. now and call him a bust and wonder why he went so high in his draft, but it wasn't so long ago that he was an exciting, explosive young point guard with all the potential in the world. His lone year in the NBA before Luka was filled with explosive dunks and highlight plays which saw him as potentially the face of the Mavs. Sure, Dennis wasn't the best shooter or defender in the world, but he was also talented. When Luka was drafted, he was immediately better than Dennis, but instead of having a potentially explosive scoring backcourt for years to come, the two clashed on the court because of Luka's ball-dominant play style and both players' inability to play off the ball. Where Dennis Smith was simply a nice young player with potential when he was put with Luka, Kristaps was far more established. Porzingis was an already established star in the league and was pushed as a savior of New York. At 7'3" with the ability to shoot all the way out to the three-point line, he was a legit all-star and then some. When the Mavs traded Smith Jr. for Porzingis, everybody thought it was the star Luka needed. A big man who could shoot and legitimately get his own shot. But in all actuality, all that happened was Luka held the ball to himself and the Mavs offense relegated Porzingis to the role of a 7'3" spot-up shooter. Porzingis, of course, hated the role because he felt he was not only underused, but also misused, which purportedly led to strife and ill will between the two before Porzingis himself was traded. People wonder why Luka doesn't have a star teammate or even the most talented roster, and it's not all the fault of his team. His style of play certainly bears some blame here as well. Don't get me wrong, Luka Doncic is certainly a great player. Many people think he'll be the best player in the world eventually, and some think he already is. I don't know what Luka's ceiling is, but what I do know is that the way he plays will certainly lead to amazing stats, but it won't lead to wins in the playoffs. Better players have tried. Just ask the late great Kobe in '06.